Warning, the following program contains extreme coarse language and mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is extremely advised.
Good evening. It is Thursday, Talking Truth Thursday. I'm ADC, and welcome to the most censored show online. Join us in the chat on YouTube and Twitch. We can respond from the show. Also join us on Odyssey and Rumble. Rumble's gaining some ground. Hopefully, we want to become the left version or far left version of what the to compete against the radical right in Rumble as well on Twitter. And yeah, you follow us all across the board there. You can see, like and subscribe to our show. Yeah, hopefully you're having a all right evening so far. We're going to talk about Alberta politics. Seems to be a hot topic here in Alberta, and we will chat about that. We'll chat about Take Back Alberta. We'll chat about the NDP, in our opinion, being a conservative light, as well as the strike in the writer's strike in Hollywood, and what that means, and not really what it means. I mean, we can all figure out what it means, but looking at it from a fan perspective, or from a person who grew up basically raised by television and movies, what that means, and some of the things that people aren't looking at in regards to why the union is striking, what's behind the strike, and why this is very important, and why this could just be one of the dominoes that drops in the Western world to bring forth a opposition to capitalism and the imperialist colonizers that run the biggest nations. So we're going to jump right in. We're talking Take Back Alberta, and we're going to go to an article from our good friend Stephen M. from Progress Alberta. You can catch him on, he was recently on the Alberta podcast, and yeah, you can catch him there, as well as you can read him at pressprogress.ca. All the links for the articles that we're discussing tonight are in the show notes, as always. So we're just going to share a screen here and let you see what we see, and we'll go from there. So as you look on the screen, Take Back Alberta, giant motorhome. Who is Take Back Alberta? What do they really want? What they want is power. So meet the coalition of Christian nationalist Wexit separatists, the disgruntled rural Albertans leading an insurgents inside Alberta's UCP. So the group behind the insurgents taking over the UCP and working to get Danielle Smith elected is alarmingly many Albertans, with their aggressive tactics raising questions about their political agenda, including from Conservatives. Take Back Alberta grew out of the last year's convoy blockade in Coutts, when hundreds of vehicles blocked the Canada-US border. So if you look at these posters here, voting's not enough, Take Back Alberta, a grassroots movement that restores the power to the people. And they're in Lac La Biche, and this whole aspect of organizing town halls across the province. Out of roughly 1,800 party members in attendance, Take Back Alberta claims to have sent 850 to 900 of its supporters to the UCP annual general meeting in October that got Danielle Smith voted in as the UCP leader. And yeah, so that's where Take Back Alberta comes in. and they are a danger. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it to talk about that. Let's go and take a look at their Facebook page and show you why they're a danger. So 4.6 thousand likes, 6,000 followers, created an event, special Zoom event in October. Here's a big one, just recently posted on May 22nd at the Parkland Pavilion in Red Deer. Jordan Peterson will be speaking, brought to you by Take Back Alberta. So they are pushing for their agenda. They're pushing for this whole thing of, the story is that they were disgruntled by the Jason Kenney led UCP and all the regulations that were sitting there. We're looking at, like, they were in Picture Butte last night, and people are asking for cheaper utilities, and that's they're just talking about, we need to take back Alberta. They're not talking about anything to do with the aspect of actually taking care of citizens. All they want to do is stop Notley. That is the goal for Take Back Alberta, is to stop Rachel Notley from becoming premier and acting government of the of Alberta. So writ was dropped on the 1st, and we're now the 4th, and they're going to bring Jordan Peterson in just before the election on the 29th. So take that as you may. And this whole aspect with that Take Back Alberta, like I said, they're all about the power and the power play that they share. When we're looking at their aspect and why it's so worrisome for Alberta and for voting is the Globe and Mail. Carrie Tate, Calgary reporter for the Globe and Mail, has done her story on it, and it's movement built on anger at COVID-19 restrictions, organized raising eyebrows about its leaders' claimed kinship with the premier. So you can go through, you can read it yourself. They're talking about how the people joined to assembly to listen to David Parker, the leader of Take Back Alberta. Religious freedom is the cornerstone of Western civilization, Parker tells the crowd, which is sprinkled with Mennonite women wearing black headscarves. If we don't have the freedom to believe what we want to believe, we have no freedom at all, and we don't have sovereignty over our own bodies. We have sovereignty over nothing. Well, Mr. Parker, I hate to tell you, doesn't give a rat's ass what you and Take Back Alberta do with Danielle Smith in the UCP, with Jason Kenney in the UCP, with any of you leaders and governments and whatever. You have no rights and freedoms anyway. Because what we have in Western nations right now are benevolent dictatorships under the guise of democracy. So you can talk about taking back Alberta. I don't know who the hell you're taking it back from, because you are with Danielle Smith. You've got your convoy, all these different things, and will continue where you're, as I like to refer, and some people will be offended by this, the right-wing religious freedom fighting fuckwaffles. And that is your group, and that's what you want. You want to spew your religious evangelical propaganda of what it's like to be a Christian and talk about what Christians are supposed to be. Not act like a Christian, actually. You're not doing any of work like Christ. Best friend, Pastor Marco St. Marie, teaches the workings of Jesus, not the shit that you guys are trying to pull. So you play this game that it's Christian and it's all these different things. So Parker himself, a professional political organizer, deep ties to the conservative establishment in Canada. Work history includes political staffer positions in Stephen Harper's Prime Minister's office, various MP offices, and later Jason Kenney's UCP leadership team. A graduate of Trinity Western University, Parker was involved with the Evangelical Schools Laurentian Leadership Center, which connects ambitious young social conservatives with jobs in government. Later landed a job in the Prime Minister's office as Stephen Harper's regional advisor for the Prairies. So we talk about Take Back Alberta. We talk about Parker. We talk about his connection to Stephen Harper, and then he was connected to Jason Kenney. And then he didn't like Jason Kenney putting in any regulations for COVID. So then he did everything in his power to fight Jason Kenney and don't mess with my friends. It's a sign of God. All this rigmarole, just BS that's being spewed by this crap. And it's a spiritual battle for our nation. So here's the problem I have here is every one of you religious freedom fighting fuckwaffles have the freedom. You're not stopped by the Trudeaus. You're not stopped by any of the so-called liberals or the centrists or whatever. And you're allowed to run roughshod because these conservatives like Danielle Smith and old Pepe Le Pew Polivier want you because they want to ignite you and ignite the anger. So you fight the people that are fighting for their actual lives, which is the people in poverty, members of the 2S LGBTQ or LGBTQTIA plus community, members of the global majority, your indigenous peoples, that sort of thing. Those aren't the people you're fighting for. You're fighting for the white Christians. So just say it. You're fighting for white Christians. You want a white Christian world. And guess what? It's not going to happen. Because people like me are going to come on and we're going to tell other people. We're going to talk truth on Take Back Alberta. We're going to talk truth about you for religious freedom fighting fuckwaffles. We're going to talk truth about your connection to Danielle Smith and why voting for the UCP and Danielle Smith is voting directly to the alt-right freedom fighters to get into power. And they've already infiltrated. So people are saying, well, we shouldn't focus on the provincial politics. We should focus on municipalities. Well, already the municipalities are infected by your white Christian rhetoric. So let's go to that connection too, go through the Coots crap and all this other stuff. And then we go to some point of March 18th of this year. That would be the day that Parker married a reporter from a right-wing media organization. So good for the Parkers to find love in the hate that they spew. But the big thing is who attended the wedding. Well, let's zoom in here so you all can see what I see as well. We're going all the way there, through there. Religious freedom fighting. We already talked about that. They got the Hutterites and the Mennonite culture, so they're really going for the religious. Here's Danielle Smith, the Canada Strong and Free Network in Ottawa that she spoke at March 23rd. But prior to that, Old Not My Premier, Ms. Smith, attended the wedding of Parker. Parker explained she's my friend, adding he populated his side of the guest ledger with people he worked with on projects. About 75 people attended the ceremony in Canmore. I lead an organization that has significant clout in terms of politics in the province, but I don't think it was an influence thing, he says. We have similar passions. So, yeah, your similar passions are, and I zoomed in and I stopped sharing here. So let's just go back here so you guys can see that we're not just making up shit because, well, we don't. I mean, we might have a sort of a bias in what we report in regards of religious freedom fighting fuck waffles, but it's not made up shit. Again, there we go. As we said, from the Globe and Mail. And Ms. Smith attended his wedding to the reporter on March 18th, prior to traveling to Ottawa to attend the Canada Strong and Free Network in Ottawa. So that's Danielle Smith. That is your leader. That is your UCP. Another connection to the UCP that our good friend from Press Progress, Stephen, unveiled today. Real estate developers and oil executives hand another $185,000 to pro Danielle Smith third party group. So, Election Alberta disclosures reveal names of a dozen wealthy Alberta businessmen tied to third party election advertisers. Here's the kicker, though, is the fact that I am a registered political third party advertiser. They're registered third party election advertisers. Alberta First Initiative, a third party election advertiser seeking greater Alberta autonomy, raised $185,000 from a small group of a dozen or so Calgary area businessmen with ties to real estate and the oil industry. Raising money is on top of the additional $340,000 the group raised late last year from other wealthy businessmen shortly after Smith won the leadership. And what we're talking about when we're talking about that extra money that was raised late in the last year, if you are a hockey fan and watched any of the editions of the Battle of Alberta on Rogers Sportsnet, you saw Alberta First commercials. So they paid a pretty penny for those things, or they know someone at Rogers or whatever the case may be. But that's your $340,000. So you could promote your connection to the premier who want to have the UCP. And so there's your connected individuals. One of the individuals named in the Elections Alberta filings responded to a request seeking to confirm their donations. Marshall Toner, Calgary-based executive in commercial real estate, says he's unable to remember making a $5,000 donation to the group. I made quite a few donations, Toner told Press Progress. I'm not sure. So this is where it comes in. So when we launched the Fuck Kenny, the initial shirts, the designs, not the fucking coffee mugs that someone went and profited off of, but the actual t-shirts, we got put under investigation by Elections Alberta. We then registered to become a political third-party advertiser. We then launched Not My Premier when Danielle Smith stole the leadership because of Take Back Alberta. We knew all the shit was dirty beforehand, that the UCP was infiltrated by the right wing and alt-right wing, more right than what Kenny was. So we started Not My Premier. The day we launched, that started to go viral, we get a letter from Elections Alberta saying that we are not a registered electoral third-party advertiser. And we will have to stop promoting our information or raising funds for the political third-party advertiser after December 31st. So we were able to offer things till December 31st. I also threw a by-election in there, so then we were not able to advertise during the by-election. We've got many letters from Elections Alberta. We've been targeted by Elections Alberta to provide, and threats of fines, provide them with our nil reportings of income. That little trick from Elections Alberta, with the direct connection to the government of Alberta. So when Elections Alberta tells you they're an independent organization, I call bullshit. It'll come out in the wash. But just know that there is a lot of members of Elections Alberta, including higher members of the organization that have deep ties to the UCP. So if you think that we're going to have a fair election, just remember this warning. So back to the story on Alberta First. Cal Wenzel, real estate developer, is a well-known name in Calgary, where he's involved with suburban development and right-wing political activities. He recorded boasting how 11 developers coughed a combined $1.1 million to the right-wing Manning Center to train candidates for Calgary's municipal election. Wenzel would not respond to requests for comment. Elections Alberta filings for 2022 show $100,000, nearly one-third of all funding last year, flowed into AFI through a web of companies tied to Edmonton developer J. Cameron Allard. Another big money donor to AFI was Lindsay Haig, the owner and CEO of Environmental Metalworks, a company that manufactures garbage dumpsters. Elections Alberta filings showed Haig donated $60,000 to the third-party advertising in the final quarter of 2022, doubling the maximum amount allowed under law. So remember when I said that Elections Alberta targeted me and threatened me with fines, put me under investigation, all this sort of great things? I was found not guilty, but they'd already decimated my business, and the opportunists in Edmonton took the idea and ran with it and sold a bunch of mugs that never had to be disclosed of being a political third-party advertiser, even though they have actual party members in their shop. I digress. So the CEO of a garbage dumpster company gave double the legal amount to the third-party group that ran NHL hockey ads promoting Danielle Smith. $60,000 was flowed. Alberta First initiative through multiple corporate entities, thus breaking the law of Elections Alberta to a maximum of $30,000 in donations. But remember, Elections Alberta also stated, based on stopping dark money, and I got this directly from the investigator who tried to railroad me with a bogus investigation, that they're investigating me because I could potentially bring dark money into elections. That these bylaws that were put into place, remember Bill 81? I urge you to go and look at the documents of the Elections Act and the actual Emergency Act and all that prior to Bill 81. Unless it's all been shredded and shit and they've pulled their own succession. But prior to Bill 81, according to the bylaws of Elections Alberta and according to Elections Alberta's chain of command, when Jason Kenney fired Lorne, the former elections officer, That put direct connection from Glenn Ressler, who's in charge of Elections Alberta, under the former act, Ressler reported directly to one of the ministers in the current government. Reported to the office, and then the office was the minister was the boss. I did this. If you go back to my TikTok, you go to TikTok ADC Truth and go to some of our older videos, you'll see where we connected the dots to that. And that's when things started to unravel in regards to being targeted by a number of organizations. As you can tell, we're being throttled on social media. We're the most censored. Other people can say that. Other people that are making tens of thousands of dollars a month on their monetized YouTube channel. We have 13 subscribers. YouTube shuts our streams down midstream. They don't like the fact that we talk truth on politics, that we talk truth on COVID is not gone. COVID isn't over. Long COVID's going to kill everyone. They don't like the fact that we talk about wars that are proxy wars, that are murdering the lives of Ukrainian civilians for the power of the imperialist United States of America. They don't like the fact that we talk about the Democrats are just as corrupt as the Republicans. So when we're talking the Democrats and the Republicans are, both of them are just as corrupt. That gets to the next piece of tonight, where we look at, we know not to go and vote for Daniel Smith. I mean, we're telling you, don't vote for Daniel Smith. Don't vote for Take Back Alberta. However, there's a little bit of a conduit there, because when we look at who to vote for, a lot of people are pumping the tires of the posed progressive Rachel Notley. But guess what? Rachel Notley is Alberta's real progressive conservative. Shocker. Shocker that the NDP are UCP light. The NDP are conservative. Oh my gosh. I'm so shocked that Max Fawcett has come out and said that Rachel Notley is a conservative. So in the article, I'd say listen to the article, but whatever audio stuff they use cannot pronounce the name Lougheed. So Peter Lougheed, Alberta's 10th Premier, creator of the Heritage Savings Trust, and architect of a 4-decade political dynasty, see his Alberta Progressive Conservatives win 12 consecutive elections, went to war with Trudeau, and if he was alive today, he'd probably be voting for Rachel Notley's NDP. So it goes into Daniel Smith talking about Notley being a conservative. And Notley continues to attract support from prominent former members of Lougheed government, from MLAs like Alan Warwick and Ron Gitter to other conservatives, as was shown on the breakdown last week. Thomas Lukasik, former conservative MLA and minister, is behind Rachel Notley. Conservative pundit Charles Adler has stated that he would support Rachel Notley. Does anyone understand why all these former conservatives, because the NDP is this progressive group of individuals, as a progressive party, it's all about the environment, it's all about socialists, it's all about things. It's Tommy Douglas, it's everything that you want in the Socialist Party, unfortunately, that Socialist Party died when Jack Layton did. Jack Layton went to run as a centrist to bring people back to the left and had the election stolen from him by Stephen Harper. So the Notley NDPs, the NDPs in BC who screwed over a woman from the Global Majority in the leadership to make sure that Epp was leader. You can see him if you go and check out his Twitter tonight. You can see he cosplayed "May the 4th be with you," because that's great use of public dollars to dress like your favorite Star Wars character. Anyway, so that's why Rachel Notley and the NDP are appreciated in this province, and why your conservative pundits would vote for Rachel Notley. Because Rachel Notley is a progressive conservative. So remember that old PC party that was run by Brian Mulroney? That would be the party that Rachel Notley is running and leading and running to be the premier of Alberta for. So if you're a conservative that is for policing and more police, and as you can tell by the candidate, so they took a Indigenous community leader in Maryland and disqualified her based on her comments calling out the Calgary Stampede for being the Calgary Stampede, and racist comments from Calgary councillors. So she got disqualified. But we need Indigenous representation for the NDP. So we've got Jody Calahoo. And Jody, it's fantastic, is an Indigenous leader in the community. That's fantastic. But she's also on leave from the Edmonton Police Board. You know the Edmonton Police. The ones that kicked in the skull of an Indigenous young man. The ones that have murdered or have caused the death of the second most people by police action in the country since 2022. Yeah, that Edmonton Police Force. She is on leave from that. She's running in Richard Feehan's former district. That was the replacement. She's argued with people on the board about being anti-police, and we can't have anyone speaking ill will towards the police. So unfortunately, she suffers from internalized white supremacy, which means she fits perfectly in the progressive conservative NDP. And don't get me wrong, there are great members of the NDP. There are members that will represent the province and their constituents very well. But the party itself, from the top, including Rachel Notley's husband, who is a communications guru for CUPE and is on the executive board of the NDP and makes a lot of decisions on who gets to be candidate for the NDP. They're pro-capitalist. They're pro-oil. Yes, they're pro-2S community. Give them that. But have they stood up and spoke out for people that are struggling? Can you honestly say that the Rachel Notley NDP is going to roll back everything that the corrupt UCP did? under Jason Kenney and Danielle Smith? Are they going to bring education funding back to the way it was, or even further back than that? Because as someone who's married to a educator, education and the teachers union had to take net zeros to ensure that the funding was stable for the districts. Are they going to fund all the hospitals they say they're going to do, including the Red Deer Regional Hospital? I know there's a group that are Save Our Hospital. I was part of the initial group. That group is connected to Adrienne Lagrange and the UCP. So, if you're going to be able to convince that group that you're going to do something different than a lot of lip service and a lot of case studies on why Red Deer needs a new hospital or an expansion, at the very least, proper equipment so people don't die in the golden hour because they don't have the cardiac care that they need in Red Deer, so they have to be transferred to Edmonton or Calgary that has the services that the NDP made sure had services, because that's where all the votes are. So we're talking about the election. The election, they say, is going to be won in Calgary because they're writing off everyone that's doing all these surveys. They're writing it off that every seat that's already currently one or the other is going back to those places. So it's a 46-46 or a 47-45 or whatever the case may be. It's neck and neck between the UCP and the NDP. And that's who you should vote for. You got to vote the Notley NDP to keep Danielle Smith and the UCP out and take back Alberta out. You know, regularly I would agree with you on that. However, I would rather look to see what a third party could offer in the election. So from Politics Today with Catherine Grakowski, Alberta's provincial election kicking off on Monday. UCP, NDP are political parties on most voters' minds. Hoping to get the foot in the door are Green Party of Alberta leader Jordan Wilkie, Alberta Party leader Barry Morishita, and Alberta Liberal Party leader John Roggeveen. Leaders of three of Alberta's smaller political parties expressed dismay at how polarization has created a toxic atmosphere in politics. Alberta Party leader Barry Morishita was blunt about the state of his party, but expressed hope about a return to the legislature when speaking to Alberta Today. I'm not going to become the premier in this election, Morishita said. I may never become the premier in an election, but there's a problem in Alberta politics right now between the polarized left and right. The Alberta Party ran a full slate of candidates the last general election, earned 9% of the vote, but lost the 3 seats it held during the race. Morishita will be facing off against Premier Danielle Smith and Brooks, a rematch of the 2022 by-election, where he finished third behind NDP candidate Gwendolyn Dirk. Considered making a bid to a more winnable riding, but said it's hard to remain a principled politician if you're always compromising for the sake of victory. Morishita wants to see Alberta reduce its reliance on resource revenue and fix healthcare and education. Best opportunities to end up with a minority government with a middle ground, pragmatic party like us holding the balance of power. So, Barry speaks a lot of truth to power there. I'd agree on a lot of those things. Alberta Liberal Party leader John Roggeveen acknowledged his party is also in a low period. We've had better times. We've had worse times. I think we probably had even worse times than we've had lately, he told Alberta Today. We've definitely been on a low ebb, and we need to do some remodeling, renovating, and get the party back up and running. Most recent decline began in 2015 when the Liberal Party was caught flat-footed by former Premier Jan Prentice's early election call months after the resignation of leader Raj Sherman. In the 2015 election, the party was reduced to 1 seat, down from 5. It was shut out in the 2019 election. Roggeveen, who was recently appointed Liberal Party leader, no one else ran for the job, agreed with Morrissey that the current two-party dominated system has led to caustic and confrontational politics. Green Party of Alberta leader Jordan Wilkie's ideal scenario is to have a hung parliament, something not yet achieved in Alberta's history. He said his party hopes to run candidates in at least 44 ridings on May 29th. 31 Green candidates were nominated as of April 30th. Wilkie's priority is democratic reform. He wants to bring in proportional representation to Alberta. That'd be the biggest game changer. It would trigger a minority government and would trigger the ability to really redevelop our entire political culture, our political landscape, take out the toxicity, hopefully bring you more accountability, and then speak to the issues that really matter for Albertans. Wilkie, an Edmonton firefighter for 15 years, a master's in disaster management, was drawn to the NDP's policies on democratic reform as well as the LEAP manifesto, but became disenchanted after those promises evaporated. I kind of gave up because I was really upset, Wilkie said, but then I had a son. The party, which has no formal affiliation with the federal Greens, believes in the 6 principles of the Green Movement: ecological wisdom, nonviolence, participatory democracy, respect for diversity, social justice, and sustainability. The Green platform includes ensuring safe and secure communities, strong public services, sustainable jobs and economy, and savings for the future. Two-party systems offering us incrementalism in offering scraps, and it's fighting over who gets the scraps. Mr. Wilkie is also a proponent of the universal basic income, and looking at, with his current critic for the 2S community in Jonathan, to start housing first. And when you look at the current housing crisis and rental crisis in places like Calgary and Edmonton, I mean, there's still some crisis in smaller communities across Alberta, but in particular, Calgary is a focus that housing first would be a very strong step. So I encourage you, my fellow Albertan, to look at not the party. We say punt party politics. Ditch the duopoly. Vote for accountability. Vote for change. How do you vote for change? You vote for the person that's going to best represent you in the legislature. So that's why through our AB Polly on Twitter and our organization there, and through here on Talking Truth, personally, professionally, I encourage all Albertans to stop being scared of splitting the vote. All I hear is, I did the survey. I came closest to the Green, but I can't vote Green because I need to vote Rachel Notley because we have to get rid of Danielle Smith. And if I vote Green, it's going to be wasting my vote. So here's the thing. Let's just take a smaller community as an example and say, in my community, Lacombe Ponoka, in my riding, that there's a maximum of 40,000 votes. Let's say, give or take. And 20,000 of those people that said, oh, I'd vote Green, but I don't want to throw my vote away, actually voted Green. Guess what? Your Green Party representative is now your representative in the legislature, has now won the seat. So instead of looking at, because they say we can't do strategic voting. Well, voting for Rachel Notley and the NDP just because you don't like the UCP or because they're the lesser of two evils, that's strategic voting. Sorry to say. You're voting in another capitalist-driven idealist. You're voting in a progressive conservative that runs under an NDP banner. Just remember that. So if you're voting NDP, if your MLA is someone like a Janice Irwin, absolutely. We say vote away. Vote Janice Irwin in to be the MLA. I'd love to see Janice Irwin as the education minister for this province, because unlike Lagrange, who's not originally from here, who's connected to the Red Deer Mafia, and that's why she's in the power that she's in. Remember when I said talking about the Save Our Hospital group? Yeah, there's a former founder of Parkland Fuels. So take the as our friend Jimmy Cornette and Brian Lass say, check your Google machine. Do Parkland Fuels. Go history. See who founded Parkland Fuels. See who's connected to Parkland Fuels. See who else is connected in Red Deer as a community builder, who helped bring the Winter Games, the Canada Winter Games. Still affiliated with the Canada Winter Games, by the way. Take a look at those group and see where their political connections are. Take a look when in the middle of a pandemic that a certain individual that claims was not connected to Lagrange, their family's business got the contract for the masks, which they didn't produce in Red Deer, by the way. Those masks would be produced in Mexico or where else they import them from. I'm not saying that they don't pay well or whatever the case may be, but there's a lot of misdirection. There's a lot of, oh, I didn't know. A lot of playing possum when it comes to the questions that were brought up, why that business got the contract for providing masks for schools. So don't get me started on how poorly those masks were made or whatever, because it was a rush job. But that organization got the contract. They got the contract because there's a connection directly. If you go through some of my old posts on Twitter, you will see me connecting the dots to those people. So I'll let you connect the dots, or like I said, watch some of my old TikTok videos and where I talk about where those dots are connected. Because as much as the votes to decide who will become premier of the province of Alberta are mostly based in Calgary, the money and the power are based in Central Alberta. So let's go to a lighter topic. It's only lighter because it doesn't directly, we're not directly affected on this at all. So we just gotta hold on. We've got our comrade Amani Barbarin, disabled member of the Global Majority, who is speaking out on the WGA strike and what that means. So we're just going to have that fired up here. Show it on the screen. and let you hear.
So I recently just saw this tweet regarding the WGA strike. And let's have a heart to heart. Let's be realistic for a second. The tweet that I found through a quote tweet reads, "This strike is immoral. You are denying millions of Americans a mental health outlet, and this will directly lead to suicides. The WGA will be morally culpable." First of all, I call bullshit. Just foundationally, I call bullshit. Not only have strike participants and communications people said that people could still use their streaming platforms and access thousands upon thousands upon thousands of pieces of content, but the strike has much larger implications for disabled people than people may think. Because while the entertainment industry has a long way to go when it comes to disability representation, the creative industries are some that disabled people have the most access to when it pertains to work. And the implications of this strike can change who gets to be creative, but also who gets to find work and be compensated appropriately for that work. So we're going to behave ourselves, are we not? Because this impacts us too.
So that was a very good point in regards to what that means, especially to the disabled community. So we're following along from here in Alberta, Canada, and the WGA strike. Been a lot of aspects of the why and whatever. So we're just going to share a few of the. We share our screen, share a few of the tweets here. So you look at that. That's a check for 3 cents. Let's take a look. Valentina Garza. In case anyone's wondering why the WGA is on strike, this is my streaming residual check for 2 episodes of Jane the Virgin. One for 1 cent, another for 2 cents. I think the streamers can do better. So we've got a bunch of people picketing, disabled individuals. She got a recently new full suspension wheelchair that's super comfy and supportive. WGA health insurance paid for it. That's why it's there. So there's a big push there. I know there's a tweet Amani just tweeted out. God love Muskie's Twitter here. Amani was talking about the strike and about not striking maskless. And just want to go to our notifications and show that that we retweeted Francesca Ramsey here, and we'll just post there.
I've seen a number of questions about me not wearing a mask in my strike video for the Writers Guild, and I wanted to address via video. The messaging around masking outdoors has been inconsistent and confusing to say the least, and myself and many others have been led to believe that being vaccinated and boosted somehow protects us from COVID outdoors, and thus being unmasked is okay. I've since learned that that is not wholly accurate, especially because there are so many new variants that are very vaccine resistant, and it is encouraged to wear a mask, especially when you're outdoors in large groups of people. I don't know how long the strike is going to go on, but I do plan on being very active, and the last thing that I want to do is get COVID again or give it to someone else. So it's really not hard for me to commit to wearing a mask when I am on the strike front lines. Last thing I'll say is it's never easy to be called out when you misstep, especially in a public forum. But the thing that I try to do is model true accountability, because my platform is very important to me. My audience is important to me, and I do not take this lightly. So thank you for being a part of my audience. Thank you for calling for me to do better and for believing that I can. I will see you on the picket lines.
So great response. Taking accountability. We love when people take accountability. So we've got all this stuff, and we're talking about the strike, and the thing that really hit home, as I mentioned at the start of the program, that I was a child of the 70s and 80s. If you want to know the age, I'll tell you straight up because I'm not whatever. I turned 47 in June. So I was one of those latchkey kids. I was raised by TV and movies. They were my livelihood. Understanding more that I now have two children with neurological brains like I have, and dealing with depression and anxiety, and how shows are comfort. I know our daughter loves watching The Big Bang Theory and has really gotten into watching the Harry Potter movies. We've had the discussion of TERFs and J.K. Rowling in regards to that, but we also had the discussion of Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson and all the different actors that are for the 2S community and not just Rowling. So it's kind of ignore, but because of the fact that it also helps with our daughter's anxiety and her social issues that she's dealing with she just turned 11. I'm excited for her imagination, that she's able to watch these things. We keep it safe as much as we can. We monitor what she's watching in regards of if she's watching YouTube. She doesn't have a TikTok account. Won't let her watch this show, even though she knows it's daddy. But there's a lot of profanity and some of our guests, a lot of triggering content. So we don't I wouldn't suggest kids watch this show. I want to help educate the children, but I want to educate you adults first before we look at educating the children. But go back to the whole thing of Big Bang Theory, young Sheldon. Love the fact that Big Bang Theory having a member of the 2S community in Jim Parsons. I know there's a lot of venom from people, that don't like the Big Bang Theory in regards of his portrayal. They never say that he's autistic or that he's on the spectrum. Clearly, Sheldon Cooper is on the spectrum of neurological brain. So when he's portraying that character and my daughter can relate, I enjoy that. I enjoy some of the subjects. So in the earlier seasons, we didn't let her watch because of the disgusting behaviors from Howard Wolowitz and those sort of characters. But she enjoys the later episodes, especially the ones that grow the relationship between Amy Fairfowler and Sheldon Cooper. And the cameos, of course, with Will Wheaton and LeVar Burton, James Earl Jones, which is my favorite episode, which also has a cameo of the late, recently acknowledged for her greatness, Carrie Fisher. Anyway, so that helps our daughter, and that is a comfort show for her. So I understand that. For me, it's been watching other shows and movies and whatever. But when we look at that, and I love the fact that some stars have come out, like Henry Winkler's come out and support. Rob Lowe has shown up on the picket line. Jay Leno's brought goodies for people. We've got Kamal Bal that has just changed his profile in support of the strikers. So that's all great. And we are supportive of the strikers too. It's not, if we don't get new programming for a little bit and they actually get compensated, not the 3 cents for the stream, for the residual checks. Because someone posted a meme there of the difference. It was 4 pictures, and it was I can never remember the movie, but it was Jason Sudeikis and Jennifer Aniston. We the Marshals, I believe. And so it's Jason Sudeikis's picture is we're the movie company, we're the production company. We made this many millions of dollars from this movie. Then Aniston's like, I'm the major star, and it's not based on her being the major star, but just the picture. I'm a major star, and I made this much from this movie. And then the actress that played the daughter says that I'm the producer and director, and we made this much from the movie. And then the young man who played the son, who was very unknowledgeable on a lot of things. I'm a writer. We actually got paid. And that's what's the problem here. And so when I'm bringing up the Big Bang Theory and I bring up like Soft Kitty, Warm Kitty, that the song, some of the lines that make me laugh, as much as someone like Jim Parsons or Kaylee Coco or any of the Mayim Bialik, any of the actors that play give the lines. Well, even with before Mark Hamill became a Nazi sympathizer in the Ukraine, when he was on as the minister to Mary, Sheldon, and Amy, and his lines, they were funny. Those lines, they're written by writers. Your favorite parts of movies, TVs, special, all those things. Yes, the performers perform the lines, but they wouldn't have anything to perform if it wasn't for the writers. So I guess to the point that a lot of people aren't talking about here. So I'm all for them being paid whatever. Faceless corporations like Bezos and this fucking ripoff, just horrible, horrible human being. And this other streamers like the Netflix and all those different things. So people are saying that the 2 points. So the number one, they're saying that people, the disabled people, especially ones that have the neurological conditions, have comfort shows, and at least those comfort shows are on there. But with the conglomerates, those shows get removed. They either don't pay the licensing as a Netflix when they didn't pay for The Office. Other companies that have the rights to them take them back. So NBC and the Peacock platform took The Office because it's NBC Universal that created The Office. Well, the US Office, the BBC created the British one. Anyway, so we have these things that they're happening. So even if you think that you have these shows that have already been produced that are your comfort shows, and the streaming services can still provide you that, even though there's a strike. Unfortunately, the streaming services are colonizing capitalist compensating cucks that don't give a shit about you and will just drop shows on a whim. Doesn't matter if they're highly rated, doesn't matter, whatever, it's cost cutting, whatever. Same way Netflix hired all these people of the global majority to start their diversity platform. And then when they cut all the costs, first one to go were the people of the global majority who left jobs from major publications and other networks to take this job because it was focused on growing diversity and inclusion. And after they took the job and signed these contracts with Netflix said, who fucking cares? This contract is null and void. You're gone. This whole system is gone. And that's what we have to deal with when we have the conglomerates. What else do the conglomerates own, like NBC Universal? Steve Carell has a great line in The Office. It makes sense to put it on merchandise. that merchandise gets sold. I'm sure Steve Carell, if they're using his likeness, is getting some sort of compensation. We know sure as shit NBC Universal is getting compensation. How much compensation are the writers getting who wrote those bloody brilliant lines that are now being used for the merchandise? So that's the next step. So after these comrades get properly compensated for the amazing work that they put out, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have any fucking entertainment to begin with. Once they get the proper compensation, because if you don't know someone, I found out I was this days old when I found out that the majority of production companies will pay the writers half at the start and then half when it goes into production. And why is that? So they can make as many revisions to the original script as humanly possible and only pay for the one. So it doesn't matter how many rewrites, how many revisions you have to do on that fucking script. You only get the half of your pay at the start and then the remaining when it is done. And these fucking networks are notorious to delaying that second payment. So when you see someone who is a writer on The Daily Show or a writer on all these different programs, yes, they have a platform. If they're a comedian, they have a big social media presence or that sort of thing. The reason why they're also selling merchandise, the reason why they're also wanting you to support their Patreon or any of those sort of things, is because they're fucking starving from the corporations. Capitalism is killing us all. And what the capitalists don't understand is you fuck with entertainment, you've awoken the beast. Because if I'm not entertained, I'm not distracted. If you're not entertained, you're not distracted. Yes, I appreciate you taking slightly more than an hour of your time to watch this program. That's just one program. If I'm going to go and binge watch a series, I'm distracted. If that series is now in hiatus because there's no writers, and it doesn't matter what the fuck those production companies or the directors, whatever, thinking they can fucking AI chat GPT the scripts, they're fucking drunk. They're absolutely insane. And not insane in a mental health way. They're just fucking out there. They're on the dick rocket with fucking Musk and Bezos and Branson. That's where the capitalists and the bankers and all the motherfucking money men behind all this. So when we're looking at the strike, and yes, it's the Bezos and the Amazons, and yes, it's the networks and whatever, guess what? Two companies, if you remember a few shows back that got pasted by YouTube, took us down because we showed a video, and we won't show that video again because we don't want to get pasted. But there was a certain aspect that we talked about that even though there's these conglomerates, there is a aspect of and we just have to get there. Never mind. So it is BlackRock and Vanguard. Those are the two companies. We're not going to keep you here much longer. Those are the companies that are the faceless corps that own fucking everything. So when you're looking at the problems with society and capitalism, all that money goes to Vanguard and BlackRock. So with our comrades in France burning BlackRock to the, well, at least causing some disturbance in BlackRock with fire, all for it. If anyone from Anonymous is watching, you know what would really fuck over the system? We could basically take the world down to its knees, capitalists right away. How about taking a visit to BlackRock or Vanguard's database, see where the money is, and maybe look at where that money is and where that money could go. Just saying. So just a suggestion there, because your global elite don't have any money. That's all liquid. So if they didn't have access, or they didn't have banks that gave them a bunch of fucking money, and if the banks lost all the money, the feds could fucking pound out the money and try and bail them out as much as they can. But most of the Fed money is buried in BlackRock and Vanguard as well. So that would might alleviate the pressure a little bit. So again, if anyone from Anonymous is watching, just feel free to take a look at what they're doing at Vanguard and BlackRock, and keep us posted if you see where things are happening. So we always like to share our coffee account, especially when we have new items. So normalize mental health as health. Your 16-ounce frosted mug, $24.97. Your coffee mug, 15-ounce coffee mug, ceramic mug, $19.97, plus shipping and taxes. 100% net profits will go to mental health supports. And the mental health supports that we look at are ones that can help anywhere in the Western world. So that's what we're looking at doing for the month of May. Support the show, show your support, show you're talking truth, and normalize mental health as health. And the proceeds go to mental health supports. Again, follow us, like us, subscribe to us, all that stuff. Smash the like button, share this shit when you can. And you have a topic, email is in the description of or on the YouTube. If you look where up over here, up above me, you can click on the email and email us. Follow us on TikTok, or I'll follow us on TikTok for sure. If we can get a few more subscribers on TikTok, we can also live stream this show and be less censored as we are now. But follow us on Twitter at ADC Truth. DM me. If you have a show idea, if you want to come on, have a topic, if you're one of the WGA worker or strikers, love to have a group of you on. We can talk strike. We can talk all these different things. Any topic you guys want to talk about, we're willing to talk truth on it. Like I say, we have uncomfortable conversations in a comfortable environment. So feel free to message us. Support the show. Ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/talking truth. Links are in the show notes. Not sure what next week's going to have, but there's always shit going down. So look forward to seeing you all next week. Have a great weekend, and go Oilers go.